Hey, it's Bergeron here with you. And I've been getting some requests lately about doing some more painting tutorials, some more painting demos, especially with watercolor. So I thought this was a great time to do it. I've also been doing a lot of classes where we've been working in collage and a lot of mixed media. So I thought I would give that a try and show you some of the ways that I do it. So let's get at it. All right, so the first thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need some candy and you're gonna need some coffee. So go round that up and then watch the rest of the video. So I always think about subject matter, you know, so what is it that I'm going to do for this piece of subject matter? And I've kind of chosen today, I'm gonna continue to work on my little barn series since it's something that I do quite regularly. People ask me to do it in different ways, so here's a different way that we're going to do it. So this is done in Expressionism, which is sort of the vein that I normally like to work in, and this is sort of the direction that we're going to go in today. I also have this piece, which is again Expressionism in watercolor, but very quick, down and dirty, nothing too exciting about this. Other than I did it in maybe about 2 or 3 minutes. So that's why I really like this particular piece. But let's look at some of the stuff that I have for us here today. I got weld bond glue in case we end up doing some collage. And I have some toothpicks for putting the glue on. And I also have a scrap piece of paper to put my glue onto. So I don't put my glue directly onto the piece. I put my glue onto something else, use a toothpick to move over an appropriate amount, okay? So weld bond glue. I also have just a regular HB pencil, and I got a couple of brushes. So I'm gonna work big and I'm gonna work quick and expressively. So I have this little number 4 round, which I'm probably not going to use, to tell you the truth. It's just there in case I need it, and a big 1.5 inch brush and a normal 3/4 inch brush. I also have my watercolor set and watercolor palette and some relatively clean water. I also have a tissue on hand in case I need to, you know, pick something up, and a Sharpie pen. But essentially, I want to do this very quick. Got some dirt on my page, very expressively. So I want to have all of my stuff at hand. So the other thing that I have here is a pile of paper. So these are pieces of paper from paintings that I've just cut up that either went wrong. I have some labels here, like this is a label just from some little oranges. Wine label, another one from the oranges. This is an old map that I've cut up and I've used lots of times. And then I have lots of colorful paper here. You'll see I got, you know, orange, red, green, blue. But you have to have this stuff at hand. If you want to work in Expressionism, you need to have the stuff at hand, because Expressionism is quick, it's immediate. You grab the thing that is calling to you at that particular second and you put it onto the page. So these papers are papers that I've collected all over the world, really. I just sort of pick them up and say, oh, I could use that for this. And a lot of them are off of packaging. Some of them are handmade papers. Some of these are just like old encyclopedias that you can buy for $1. And I've just tore them apart and cut them out. This is an old standard Singer. It's an old book, but really it's not worth anything. I think I bought it for 50 cents at a book sale. But you can certainly cut out all these things. And this is a piece of netting off a orange box. So I don't know what I'm going to use that for, but I'll probably use it sometime. But you never, if you don't have it, you can't use it, I guess, is the way that I'm thinking about this today. So I'm just going to set all this aside, and I'm going to do a quick drawing on here. I'm going to start my quick drawing by just going and remembering the rule of thirds. All right. I'm not measuring any of this out. I'm just saying, you know, roughly where 1/3 of the page is. And I know that the front field that I have on this painting normally, you know, this thing. The front field usually goes from a third across like that. And then we put in the barn, which is, we're gonna work a little bit bigger today with this barn and maybe put it in, you know, something like that. Just very quickly, very expressively. This is the little garage that's beside it. And that's that. And then there's a tree line in the back here, and we'll just sort of put that in like that. Now, for me, I could say, you know, that's it, folks. That's I'm all done. But I'm not going to do that today. Today, I'm going to continue with this as a piece of expressionism. I'm going to grab a cup of coffee. All right, so I'm going to go right at it with this big brush. And I'm going to wet this area in the middle here because I'm fairly certain that this is not going to be a color that I need right now. So I'm going to clean that out. You can hear students of mine all over the world laughing because I just cleaned off my palette, because I don't normally do that. It's not something that is a way that I normally work. I don't normally clean up my watercolor palette. But today I thought I would, because I want to put blue and other things on here that aren't going to go well with that orange. It's just going to turn it into brown. Okay, so I'm going to work sort of very quickly and very expressively. So if you don't hear me talking a whole lot, that's why. Some dirty water on there with my dirty brush. Take some of those chunks out. Mix up a little bit of purple here. Take that little chunk out of there. All right, so there you go, very quickly. I got a sky, I got some good stuff bleeding there. I'm not going to continue to muck with that, he says as he picks up the brush and touches it to the page again. All right, so I'm gonna work in this background back here where I have the tree line. And so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take this, make it into mostly blue, and I'm gonna pick up some of this green right here. And I'm gonna put this green in like that, very quickly, like that. Not too much more to that. Pick up a little bit more of this green, put it into this blue. Let some of that bleed in there. And then I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow. And again, I'm just going to put that on here, like this. You can see I haven't changed brushes. I'm using the same fairly large brush. Well, it's a 1.5 inch brush, so as watercolor goes, it's about as big as it's going to be. And now I'm going to deal with these fields down here. I'm going to make this field on the right here. It's going to be sort of a little bit of a darker kind of a blue like that. And then this field right here I'm going to make into I'm trying to keep a whole bunch of things in mind as I'm doing this. I'm trying to keep in mind some color theory. I'm trying to keep in mind some compositional theory. And at the same time, I'm trying to let go of all those things and just let my expression and my thoughts about this place just ride through the entire piece. And I'm going to do this right here, a bit of a darker green, probably even darker than this right here. I'm going to bring this right up to the edge of this and let it bleed through in some places and not let it bleed through in other places. Same with this. All right. That's sort of starting to bleed through there, not too badly. A little bit more than I wanted it to be, but that's perfectly fine for right now. And you can see that this water has all started to move out towards the edges. It's nice, it's right where I want it to be. So I'm gonna think about doing this barn, and I'm gonna work not quite as wet as I have these other areas being, but still fairly expressively and fairly wet. So I'm going to do that with, take this out of here actually. I'm going to do this barn with some orange, and I'm going to do the roof with maybe just a little bit of sienna. Grab myself another tissue, got a little bit too much water in there. So this is not about control. This is about how is it that I can put these things on the page, make this look like the item that I'm speaking about, and at the same time have a little bit of fun doing it. I'm going to pick up this orange. Like that. And that sort of looks like a little window and everything in there, but I didn't mean for that to go in that direction, but that's perfectly fine for me. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of this brown, and I'm going to make this a slightly browner building. Let some of that splatter around in there. And then I'm going to take this. I'm just going to let that happen there. Take some of that out of there maybe. I just have a tissue that I've sort of rolled up into a ball here, or into a little bit of a point. And just take a little bit of that out of there like that. All right. So all I did was just sort of mop it up a little bit. I also don't really want that, so let that go. All right, so at this point, my suggestion is stop fooling around with it, leave it, let it dry, and see what it becomes. All right, so what I want you to keep in mind here is that I'm trying to do Expressionism collage, okay? So you've seen I put the paint on the page, I did the drawing very, very quickly, put the paint on the page, matter-of-factly, got it on there, made some decisions about, I needed some more yellow in here, or I needed less color here. I let this dry for about 10 minutes, and then I put the hair dryer on it for a couple of minutes just to dry up some damp edges. But I think we're ready to get at it with the collage. So I just have out right now just a regular pair of scissors, my weld bond glue, toothpicks, and just a scrap piece of paper. Okay, we're not going to look at that right this second though. I just want to make sure that you have that at hand. So we need to make some decisions. And one of the decisions that I've decided as soon as I seen this was, I really like this sky. I love the way the colors bled together. I sort of like this dark line that came down here. I like the way the purple is bleeding into that. I'm not doing anything with the sky. I kind of like these fields, but I'm willing to give, collaging those a chance. This tree line right here, it turned out all right. I mean, there's some dark edges in here, and we certainly don't have to collage in everything. So I have my pile of paper here, and I looked through it, and I seen there was some, there was some green like this for the trees. Also maybe some yellow for some highlights in some of the trees. There's also a little bit of green on this particular thing right here. Just a label, and yeah, here's a little bit of green, and there's a little bit more green. So I think with those few things, I should be able to, maybe do something with this tree line. So remember, I want you to keep in mind that this is sort of expressionistic collage. One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm not going to measure. I'm not going to, look at things and try to keep things into a very specific line. This is expressionism. So one of the things that I like to do in expressionism is I like to tear my paper. So one of the things I'm going to do at the beginning here for some of this tree line is I'm going to tear some of this paper, and I'm just going to do stuff like that. And you can see I'm not taking really good care of any of this. I'm just thinking about, where is it that this might go on the page, and then for now I'm just setting it down. I'm not gluing any of this on right now. Okay, I'm just going to lay things on there until I start to decide, hey, that's working, or that's not working, or this could be better. The same with this. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to say, maybe that could be part of the tree line back here. Throw that little piece off. Again, more of this, tree lines are irregular. They're not straight or consistent, and that's why maybe tearing it sometimes works a little bit better. All right, maybe something like that. All right, that's not too bad at all, actually. And I'm still allowing some of the paint to come through. Okay, so what about the barn area here? Well, I have this piece that I've sort of been eyeing up for that barn. And again, I'm not going to make this into, I'm cutting this with scissors because it's a piece of architecture that's pretty straight, but I'm going to just eyeball this. That's going to go on there. This is going to go on there. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do before I get started here too much is I just want to show you how much glue that I work with, all right? I start with that little bit of glue. So you can see it's just, a little bit bigger than the end of my index finger. I don't start with piles and piles of glue. I start with a little bit at a time, and I'm thinking about where it is that this is going to go. I'm going to take my toothpick. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on one end, a little bit of glue on the other end. You see, not great big huge globs of glue, just a little bit of glue, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue in the middle, just like that. Okay, so a little bit on each end and a little bit in the middle. I'm going to think about where this is going to go, and then I'm going to just press it onto the page. Okay, again, the same thing. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to take a little bit of glue, a little bit on the end, a little bit on the middle. Okay, just like that. Not great big huge globs of glue. A little bit goes a long ways with glue. Okay, so I've put in all of my green background all through there for the tree line, and now I'm going to put in this tree line that's a little bit closer. But you can see there's spots where I've left the paint to come through. This sort of builds up a little bit of a highlight in there, and I'm going to leave that at this point. So now I'm just going to put these couple of pieces on here. You can see that little drop of glue that I used right there. I've used it all, but I've only used that one little patch to do all the background. So a little dab, and this is one of the reasons why I use Weld Bond. A little dab will do you. You don't need a lot. Okay, so for this, I'll show you how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to, again, flip this over. I'm going to put a little dab here, a little dab here, and a little dab here. This is actually a big dab, but at least I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to flip that over, line it up at the edge here, and then press it down into place. To pull it along there, and it's very, very, it's a super, super tough kind of a paper. Not really expensive. I bought this at a student sale one time. I could probably put that like that right across there. It's a little bit thick, so I'm going to straighten this up a little bit. Just sort of cut that right down along there. And I can use that right on there. That's actually pretty good looking. That's not too bad looking at all. Okay, so I went and found some more paper, and I found this, and it's got a good length to it, so I think I'm going to use this across this field line right here, and I think I need a piece about that long. I kind of like this jaggedness that's going on here already, so I think I'm just going to use that jaggedness that came with the paper for my length across there. And when I put that on there, that's not too bad. So I kind of like that blue one on there, and I kind of like this green one on here. All right, so this is what this piece is going to look like matted. I think it's turned out pretty much exactly the way that I had it in my head. So as a piece of expressionism, this has turned out really well for me. If you learned anything from this, if you picked up a tip or a trick, I really would love it if you would click like. If you're currently a subscriber, thanks a lot. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're not currently a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you again next time. Go and have some fun making some art the way that you want to make your art. Awesome. Have a great day.